So hello and welcome to Only Sign No File. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. So in this video I'll be talking about how actually vaccines work. So without wasting any time, let's get to the point. So in the previous video I had mentioned about immunity. Immunity consists of innate immunity as well as acquired immunity. Vaccines are the one which involves the presence of acquired immunity in its action. So let's see how it works. In very simple terms, adaptive immunity, which includes B lymphocyte, CT cells, T helper cells, antibodies, cytokines, are involved in this vaccination processes. How? Let me talk about it. Vaccines mimic some viral or bacterial infections and trigger an immune response. For example, in very simple things, it trains our immune system to protect against a specific infection or a disease. The first step in this immunity is recognition. Now, suppose this is an antigen or any foreign substance or pathogen or infectious agent. So, these are the epitopes. Now, our immune system recognizes this invader with the help of these epitopes or antigens. The next step is phagocytosis, wherein any phagocytic cells, such as here it is the dendritic cell, which recognizes this epitope, engulfs it or phagocytoses it, processes it, and then presents it to the adaptive arm of the system. Now, what is the adaptive arm? As I talked about, the Th cells, B cells, Tc cells, etc. How exactly is this phagocytosis? This is just an overview wherein a pathogen enters, is phagocytosed or engulfed. It fuses with a lysosome or phagolysosome. The enzymes start to degrade these pathogens. Now, this enemy cell is broken into smaller fragments. The fragments are presented of antigens are presented by these cells on its surface, and the leftover, of course, is released. Now, this is how an antigen presentation works. Next is, now the cell which has phagocytosed the antigen or any phagocyte come across Th cells, that is adaptive arm, activates it. Now this activated Th cells then activate other cells or stimulate other cells such as B cells and T cells. These are B cells and T cells. The B cells then proliferate and convert to plasma cells and memory cells. Now, this memory cell is, of course, a small portion of cells. I'll talk about these in some time. And the TC cells convert into cytotoxic T cells as well as a small portion into memory T cells. Now, both these cells, which are apart from memory cells, that is plasma cells and killer T cells, take part in the immunity. How? These B cells proliferate into plasma cells, as I already mentioned. Plasma cells produce antibodies which are specific to our pathogen. Now, these antibodies recruit and help more phagocytosis and other cells to recognize and kill the pathogen, like this. At this point, the pathogen is killed, but whatever remains is a pool of memory cells in the body. That is memory T cells as well as memory B cells. Now, this process was the primary response.
Hence, the vaccine which we introduce that mimics the real pathogen or infectious agent. Now, when the body comes across the real infection by the same pathogen the second time, these memory T cells and B cells play an important role which quickly eliminates this pathogen and provides a protective immunity.
And hence elicits a faster and more effective immune response. As I had already mentioned in the previous video, the primary response takes relatively longer time as well as less antibody titer is generated, whereas a secondary exposure to the same pathogen results in earlier or relatively in a less time because of these memory cells, and high antibody titer is generated and hence effective in reducing or eliminating the pathogen faster. This is how a vaccination works, wherein the first exposure is a vaccine itself, whereas the second exposure is when you actually come across the pathogen the second time. Now, this was all about the mode of action of vaccines. I'll be talking in detail about the types of vaccines that are used. That is, here this was inactivated or live attenuated vaccine, wherein I'll be talking in detail about the other types of vaccines in my next video. Hope you like this video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.